We're diving into some really cool stuff today. We're going to crack open Chapter 6 of Artificial Empathy
Okay.
by Carlos E. Perez and see how these deep learning systems are basically intuition machines.
I like it.
Yeah. So get ready.
It really is what's so fascinating about this chapter is it challenges how we think about intelligence.
Uh-huh.
We always thought it was all logic step by step, but Perez is saying maybe it's intuition, that gut feeling.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's the real foundation of intelligence for us.
Okay, I am hooked already. So
Yeah.
how does this whole artificial intuition thing work? What's going on in these deep learning systems?
Think about how you learn something new, like riding a bike.
Okay.
You don't sit down with a textbook and study bike mechanics, right?
Yeah.
You just kind of get on, you pedal, you fall off, you get back on, and eventually you just do it.
You just kind of figure it out.
Yeah, you develop this intuition for balance and all that.
Yeah, it just clicks.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And deep learning systems, it's similar. They learn from experience, from tons of data,
Okay.
not just pre-programmed rules. They're always tweaking, adjusting, getting better at solving the problem.
So they're practicing like at warp speed.
Yeah.
But how does that connect to intuition?
So the book makes this cool connection with Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
And he talks about system one, thinking that's like your gut feeling brain. It's fast, automatic, intuitive.
Okay.
And then there's system two, that's you're thinking it through, brain slower, more deliberate.
Gotcha.
Deep learning, it's much more like system one. It's great at things where that old logic-based AI struggled.
Oh, so like facial recognition.
Exactly.
We do it without even thinking, but computers really struggled with that until deep learning came along.
Yeah. And there's this great quote in the book that says, deep learning, by contrast, operates in the area of cognitive intuition. And then he says, it so happens that humanity may have discovered artificial intuition by pure luck.
Pure luck. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So if deep learning is all about artificial intuition, what are the key ingredients?
The book breaks it down into three things: expressibility, trainability, and generalizability.
Okay.
He calls them the ilities. It's catchy, right?
I like it.
They determine how powerful a deep learning system can be.
Okay, let's break those utilities down. What's expressibility?
So expressibility is all about how well the system can handle complex functions.
Okay.
Like, how good is it at capturing all the nuances of a problem, the little relationships and patterns in the data?
So it's like the system's ability to understand the whole problem, not just a simplified version of it.
Exactly. And then you've got trainability,
Okay.
which is how well the system actually learns from the data, how easily it can adjust to get better at what it's doing.
So some systems are like quick learners and some take a little more time.
Perfect analogy. And then the third ility is generalizability.
Okay.
That's about how well the system can handle new data that it's never seen before.
So it's not just memorizing stuff, it's actually learning right.
Yeah.
If it can apply the knowledge in new situations, then that's real intelligence.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really interesting, because deep learning achieves this through this cool combo of perturbations and diversity.
Ooh, okay. I like those words. Let's start with perturbations. What are those?
All right, imagine a massive network of connected points. Each one's like a tiny bit of info or a calculation. Perturbations are like tiny tweaks to those connections, like adjusting the strength of the connection just slightly.
And these tiny changes can have a big impact on the whole system.
Absolutely. It's like a ripple effect. Small adjustments can lead to these big, emergent, intelligent behaviors.
So it's not just following instructions, it's about experimenting a bit.
Precisely. And that's where diversity comes in. Deep learning systems are built with tons of diversity, meaning there are all these different types of connections and calculations happening. Imagine a team of experts, each with different skills, all working together.
I love that analogy. So this diversity, along with those random perturbations, lets the system explore all sorts of possibilities.
Yeah, it can find solutions that logic alone would never find.
That's incredible. It sounds like we're seeing a whole new kind of intelligence, one that isn't limited by our human logic. This is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I feel like we're just scratching the surface, though. What else does Perez have for us in this chapter?
One of the coolest examples is the story of AlphaZero.
Oh, yeah, AlphaZero. The chess AI wasn't that a few years ago. What's
Yeah.
so special about it? I thought computers were already good at chess.
Yeah, they've been good for a while, but AlphaZero was different.
Okay.
The old chess engines, like Stockfish, they used brute force logic, calculating millions of moves to find the best strategy.
Okay.
But AlphaZero, it was designed to learn the game intuitively, more like a human grandmaster.
So instead of crunching all the moves, it was more about patterns and intuition.
Exactly. And it worked amazingly well. AlphaZero not only beat Starkfish, one of the top chess engines, but it did it in a way that was like brilliant and confusing to the chess experts?
I bet. The book must have some great reactions from the chess world.
Oh yeah, Garry Kasparov, you know him.
Yeah, of course.
The former world champion who lost to Deep Blue, he said AlphaZero uses a human-like approach to chess that guys like Claude Shannon and Alan Turing dreamed of.
Wow, even Kasparov was impressed.
Yeah.
So AlphaZero is a huge leap forward for AI, showing how powerful artificial intuition can be.
Yeah.
But going back to those illitilities we talked about, how did AlphaZero do with expressibility, trainability, and generalizability?
Its expressibility was clear in how it could represent those complex chess positions and strategies to make intuitive moves.
Yep.
Its trainability was amazing. It learned chess at a superhuman level in just hours by playing millions of games against itself.
Wow.
And its generalizability, it could adapt to different opponents and situations.
So AlphaZero was like the poster child for artificial intuition.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier deep learning systems can be like black boxes sometimes.
Yeah. We don't always know how they're making decisions. Is that true for AlphaZero too?
That's a great question. And yeah, to some extent, we can analyze the games and try to understand its strategies, but there's still some mystery to it.
Uh-huh.
It's like watching a brilliant artist. You see the masterpiece, but you don't know exactly how they created it.
I see what you mean. There's that intuitive spark that we don't fully get yet in humans or AI.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so fascinating. We're learning more about intelligence all the time. But the more we learn, the more we realize how much we still don't know.
I'm hooked on this whole artificial intuition thing. What else does Perez talk about in the chapter? Any more mind-blowing examples of deep learning in action?
Oh yeah, tons. He talks about how deep learning is being used everywhere, from image recognition and natural language processing to drug discovery and financial forecasting.
Wow.
And in a lot of areas, deep learning is already better than humans because it can see those complex patterns and make predictions that are crazy accurate. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Sounds like deep learning is going to change everything.
Yeah.
But are there downsides, risks, or challenges we need to think about?
Like anything powerful, deep learning can be used for good or bad.
Right.
One of the biggest challenges is making sure these systems are developed and used responsibly.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if a deep learning system is trained on data that's biased, it's going to make biased predictions which could be unfair or discriminatory.
That's a really important point. It's not just about the technology, but about how we use it.
Exactly. And Perez says we need to be extra careful with artificial intuition because these systems are so powerful. Their decisions affect people's lives, so we need to make sure they're making fair and unbiased judgments.
That makes sense. It's like any new technology, we need to figure out how to use it wisely and ethically. But how do we do that? Does Perez have any solutions for dealing with bias in deep learning?
Yeah, he talks about a few different strategies. One is transparency and explainability.
Okay, instead of these systems being these mysterious black boxes, we need to be able to see how they're making decisions.
Exactly. We got to be able to look under the hood and see what's driving that intuition.
Huh?
That way, if there are biases, we can spot them and try to fix them.
I can see how that would be important.
Yeah.
But isn't that really tough? These deep learning systems are so complex. How do we even start to untangle all that?
It's definitely a challenge, but researchers are working on tools and techniques to make these systems more transparent. And as they become more common, there's going to be more and more pressure to make them explainable and accountable.
That makes sense. So it's not just the tech, it's the whole environment around it. We need the right tools, the right regulations, the right mindset to make sure artificial intuition is used ethically.
Absolutely. And I think Perez does a great job of showing us these challenges and opportunities. He leaves us with a feeling of excitement, but also caution excitement for what artificial intuition can do to solve problems and make our lives better, but also caution about doing it thoughtfully and ethically.
It's like we're at the edge of something brand new. So much potential, but also so much responsibility. This has been a fantastic deep dive. Thanks for walking us through this chapter.
Happy to do it. It's always fun to explore these ideas with you.